Hello, Christina Resso. Thanks for tuning in. Happy Wednesday to each and every one of you, and I hope you all are doing well. And I also hope you had a nice Valentine's Day with a loved one, whether be a spouse or anyone of the opposite sex on the verge of being married, or just hanging out with relatives. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the video and share it with your friends. I really appreciate you all supporting me as best as you could, and I'm really grateful about that. Um, I know it takes quite some time for a channel to grow. So just doing what God wills to um, share whatever content that I have for you. So today, this was a story from The View, and a lot of things been going on from the Super Bowl, so-called Black National Anthem, which it really isn't. It's not a Black National Anthem. It started out as a poem. To Rihanna, performing on the stage during her pregnancy, and this Chelsea lady that wanted to question 50 cents, 2 cents, whatever he calls himself, on his blackness because he wanted to support Trump. And her childless act. But today, what was on my heart was, how like on The View, they usually, excuse me, have one conservative on their platform, four ladies against one. Very clever. Quite the liberal thing to do, because they don't want people to beat their narrative, except Condoleezza Rice. She's the only one that's actually have someone that they can't go to head with. So this lady, based on her photo, she's ambiguous. She appears to be biracial. Her name is Lissa Farah Griffin, and they were talking about the mass shooter at Michigan State University. I don't want to say MSU because where I live, there's also an MSU. So I don't want to just spew that out. And if you want to go into more detail about it, that's also on my podcast, 20 minutes before I did this video. So this Alyssa lady, said most mass shooters were due to mental illness. Of course, the platform agreed. Why? Because he doesn't fit the narrative. Well, this mass shooter, which we're gonna hear more about in his mental state, shot everybody and their mama that they can look into. No, he wasn't focused on one particular group like that Daryl Brooks from Wisconsin did. No, this guy shot at anybody that crossed his path, not only being a mass shooter or mental illness, something was going on with him. So we're going to find out more about his background. But the View's liberal narrative, he must be a straight white male, just like anyone in the past, okay? Not knowing that mental illness can come in any race. I remember when I was working at City Colleges of Chicago, and most of my colleagues were of Spanish speaking ancestry, Mexican. Um, Even though some of them appear either my skin color or darker, they insisted they were white. So fine, whatever. That's their delusion. And this one guy said, well, it was back when this native mass shooter went out after people in some popular place in, I think it was either Arlington or Alexandria, in one of those. And he said, "Oh, he had an excuse. The white shooters don't have an excuse." You know the most disturbing thing and also pathetic when I was growing up? Because they're not the only people of color that actually think this. When I was growing up, I was told only white men, not only mass shooters, were serial killers. Found out that wasn't true. They were the only ones, they're the most dangerous men. Found out that wasn't true. All men are dangerous at some point. They were the only pedophiles. Found out that wasn't true. And I shared this with now she's actually a white Mexican lady. If you saw her and if she didn't grow her hair out, if she dyed her hair, curled it, and her last name is her married name, if you saw her, you would think she was a white woman. Okay. So she's a Mexican woman that can play it off. And that we experienced something the complete opposite of what we were lied to about these certain stereotypes about white men. That it also goes on in melanated communities, whether you be black, white, even Southeast Asian. There's a young woman that's a YouTuber that do crimes in from China, and she's of Chinese ancestry. I can't remember the name, but I came across it, and it just blew my mind. That I didn't think, when we think of Asians, they're very productive and quiet and nonviolent, and they're the most successful and the most industrious. Serial killing wouldn't even cross our mind. Well, not mine anyway, but nonetheless, Satan has his way of getting into anybody's soul if they allow him. Just like sin affects us all from the start of Adam, that human race. So they ridicule this woman. I really read when I do my podcast, but I just wanted to share this video just to say this. How this country has just gone all beyond just perilous times. Men being lovers of themselves, people saying the most ridiculous things to fit their narrative. Nothing surprises me anymore. My heart just goes out that nothing happens to horrific. I hate hearing, that's why I don't even watch television. Especially when something happens to a child. And I'm not going to even repeat the things that I've heard on podcasts. What happens to innocent children? I mean, banning abortion is not even part of it. But when the kid is here, the sick things, and going back to these melanated people, the youngest victim of a pedophile, 3 years old. How horrific is that? I'm not going to even go into details. And of course, the child died. A 3-year-old wound can tolerate a full grown man's. Oh no, no, only white men do that. Keep being delusional. And you have these same demons as women in my family did in your house for believing the same stupidity. Only this certain man does this. And in my dating scene, if because most of my dates, and this is what I've come across, most of the men I dated were non-black. I think I only dated one black guy in high school, but that's not really considered dating because I was only 16, not knowing better. But this is all about who I've come across in my life. And the moment a man judged a woman in his community, I said to myself, I'm a sinner too. Why are you running to me to escape what you're running from? What would your mother think about that? So, of course, I want nothing to do with those men. And hopefully, women in other communities, when men of my racial background say the same thing. Because I know black men are the worst. They hate themselves. It's so despicable that they take up for women in their community. I'm talking to an Asian man and he has interest in me, but yeah, he's saying, oh, the women in my community is this, and this, and this, and that. Long pause for a reason. Just let that marinate for a reason. How far we've come. I mean, I'm sure it's come this far, and maybe our government, I don't know, to allow you to be free to be with whomever you want to. Not because in my case, he has to know the Lord, number one. In addition to being the characteristic of a man, according to Ephesians 5 and the book of Peter, about husband and wife roles. And race has nothing to do with that. Our beliefs do, because I'm not submitting to a man that doesn't know the Lord. But that's all I have on my heart, folks. I know it's late, not super late, but later than I usually come on. But we gotta stop all this narrative stuff. I know we won't, because let's face it, since Adam, man by nature is evil. Christina Rizzo, thanks for listening. Pray for our nation and our brothers and sisters under the persecuted church. And as I've been saying, the Lord keep you, the Lord bless you, and may his light shine upon you. And I'll talk to you as soon as God wills it.